House of Underdog Talk, man. House of Underdog Pod, man. We back with another one. You know we jumping straight in. We ain't trying to stick our toes in and see if the water cold or whatnot. But we coming with that NFL talk, man. We had an interesting trade deadline. You know, some teams made some championship type of moves. Like I said, we're going to jump straight in it. Let me see where I want to start at, you know what I mean? We're going to start it out like here. Jets trade Sauce Gardner to the Colts, man. I actually think this is a win-win trade. I think I think the Jets win in the long run, though. You know, Colts receive Sauce Gardner. Jets receive Adonai Mitchell, who's a sleeper receiver, boy. That boy nice. He gave the Ravens some good work in training camp. How the teams be practicing against each other. He gave the Ravens some good work this past training camp. Like I said, sleeper receiver. And they got 2 fucking first-round picks. 2026 first-round pick, 2027 first-round pick. So the Colts trade Adonai Mitchell, 2 first-round picks, and get Sauce Gardner. Sauce Gardner is going to fit so great in that Colts system. You know, they run a lot of zone. Sauce Gardner's a long corner. You know what I mean? Yeah, we're gonna see a more enhanced Sauce Gardner for sure. Better weapons around him. And again, I think he's more of a zone corner than a man corner. He can play man, but I just think he'll mesh and fit so great in this system with the Colts. Jets, man, I mean, like I said, you get a sleeper receiver and you get 2 first-round picks. So I think it's a win-win, but I think Jets win in that long run. Jets actually down there was blowing it up. You know what I mean? They made some good moves. They traded defensive tackle Quentin Williams, who's solid, you know, to any front line. You know, he's going to be solid. And he's not just solid, he's elite, if you ask me. To the Dallas Cowboys. So Jets trade Quentin Williams to the Dallas Cowboys. And Dallas trades defensive tackle Mozzie Smith, 2026 second-round pick, and a 2027 first-round pick. So Jets trade 2 of their top defensive weapons, but you get 3 first-round picks and a second-round pick out of that. You know what I mean? So I like what the Jets doing as far as their future. Cowboys, I like that move. They also made another move that I'll get to a little later. Moving on. Saints, I saw this coming. Then I didn't see this team coming, though. Saints trade Rashid Shaheed to the Seattle Seahawks for a 2026 fourth-round pick and a 2026 fifth-round pick. That's a steal. That's a steal, bro. Seattle probably got, if not, I ain't going to just put them like that, but they for sure top 5 receiving core. I want to push it and say top 3. You know what I mean? But you give Sam Darnold another weapon while he already having 2-3 solid weapons already. Cooper Kupp ain't really even blossomed yet, but he doesn't really need to. They got JSN who's going crazy. So you add a guy like Rashid, that's just going to open it up for Coop. That's going to open it, man. They got weapons over there. Seattle's definitely thinking they can contend this year. I like it. You know what I mean? I think the Saints I would have thought they would have got something better, but, you know, I don't know. We'll see, though, bro. But Seattle's a sleeper, bro. Like, that's a team you got to take serious when it's come playoff time. They got too many weapons. Defense is solid, and they winning. You know what I mean? They got great momentum. Jacksonville and the Raiders make a trade. You know, saw this coming, didn't see the team. The Raiders trade Jacoby Myers to Jacksonville Jaguars for a 2026 fourth-round draft pick and a 2026 sixth-round draft pick. I like it. I think Jacoby Myers is a great number 2. You know what I mean? He's not a 1, but he's a great number 2. He'll be able to complement somebody good, you know, like a Brian Thomas Jr. Could take some pressure off him. And when Travis Hunter come back, you know what I mean? I like that receiving core over there. Definitely. I like this trade. Cleveland Browns traded Joe Tyron Sonke. I'm pretty sure I pronounced his name wrong. But a defensive end. And they traded a 7th round 2026 draft pick to the Chicago Bears. And Cleveland received a 2026 6th round draft pick. And if you keep up with the game, yes, Cleveland, they had their problems, the shenanigans over there, the politics over there. But one thing about it, Cleveland has always had a solid defense. They have always had a solid D-line. And I think, Joe is, again, a solid piece, and I think Chicago got a solid piece for a good steal, for a 6th round draft pick, if you ask me. So I like that. Just the other move I was talking about by Dallas. Dallas and Cincinnati made a trade. So Cincinnati traded Logan Wilson, linebacker, to Dallas, and Cincinnati received a 2026 7th round draft pick. You know what I mean? So Dallas made 2 defensive moves, even though I feel like they could have been more aggressive as far as their secondary. To me, their secondary has a lot of problems. But you make 2 moves to apply more pressure. So we'll see. But I think they could have definitely been more aggressive for their secondary. Moving on. Chargers and Saints made a trade. Saints trading offensive tackle Trevor Penning to the Chargers for a 6th round draft pick. You giving Herbert more protection. Gotta love it, for sure. Gotta love it. Moving on. Chargers trade defensive back Jasir Taylor to the Jets for a conditional 7th round draft pick in 2028. Moving on. Ravens and the Titans make a trade. So Tennessee traded DN/linebacker Draymond Jones, and they received a conditional 2026 5th round draft pick. Good move by the Ravens. Stopping the run has been a iffy, problem for the Ravens this season so far. I think that's a great move because they're making the right strides in the right direction, for sure. So, hell of a trade by Baltimore, for sure. Philly made some good moves, I ain't gonna lie. So Philly and Miami made a trade. Miami traded linebacker Jalen Phillips to Philly for a 2026 3rd round draft pick. Like I said, good move by Philly, for sure. Philly made another move with the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore traded Jair Alexander, cornerback, in a 7th round draft pick to Baltimore for a 6th round draft pick. So I think Philly, obviously they won the championship last year. Obviously they're not shy about making championship moves as far as roster moves. So this is no surprise to me. I'm surprised Baltimore couldn't utilize Jair more. He only played 2 games this season, if I'm not mistaken. First game of the year, he did have a not so great game. But we really didn't see too much more Jair. I think he played in the Houston game, but that was because the secondary was hurt. I still think Jair is an impactful player. And for the trading for a 6, I mean, it is what it is. But shout out to Philly. Philly definitely, they need help in their secondary. So I like it, you know what I mean? And again, Philly made another move. They traded for Michael Carter II, cornerback from the Jets, in a 7th round pick. And they traded away wide receiver John Mechie III in a 2027 6th round pick. So again, Philly was aggressive at the deadline, getting 2 defensive backs. I like it, bro. Steelers in the Patriots make a trade. Patriots trade safety Kyle Duggar in a 7th round draft pick in 2026. And the Patriots receive a 2026 6th round draft pick. Saints safety Deshaun Elliott, had a knee injury against Green Bay. I think he's definitely on the IR, so it makes sense. this trade makes sense. 49ers, received defensive end Keon White in a 2027 6th-round draft pick from the Patriots. Patriots receive a 2027 6th-round draft pick. You know what I mean? So, 49ers hurt. You know what I mean? Their defense is hurt. Their defensive front is hurt. So, it makes sense for that. You know what I'm saying? Rams and Tennessee make a trade. The Rams receive cornerback Roger McCreary, pretty sure I pronounced it wrong, in a 2026 conditional 6th-round draft pick. Tennessee receives a 2026 conditional 5th-round draft pick. I like it. Rams adding depth at corner, so I like it. I think one of their corners is hurt, so I like it for sure. This trade happened a minute ago, but Jacksonville had traded Jacksonville and Cleveland made a trade. Jacksonville received Greg Newsome II in a 6th-round draft pick, and Cleveland received Tyson Campbell in a 7th-round draft pick. I didn't really understand that trade. To me, Greg is a good corner. Cleveland has a solid defense. Their defense was never really the problem over these past couple years. But they just swapped corners to me, you know what I mean? So that is what it is, you know what I mean? But some interesting trades. Some teams who made trades that you can tell they in win-now mode. Jets obviously tanking, trying to stock up on draft capital, so I understand that. But, some teams made some moves. Some teams could have been more aggressive. Some teams didn't make some moves. So, kind of see who think they can win it this year. You kind of see who's tanking, and you kind of see who's, just in the mix. You know what I mean? House of Underdog Talk. House of Underdog Pod. Stay tuned.